Thank you for coming to today's session and welcome to Life Purpose, Happiness, and Student Success. This webinar is brought to you by Human Resources. Human Resources is a worldwide leader in the development and provision of online personal assessments, student success, and education and career development programs. That includes a free resume service that you can learn more about at humanresources.com. And we're very pleased to have Dr. Marsha Fralick speak to us today about the connection between life purpose and careers. Marsha Fralick taught college success courses for 45 years and is a frequent presenter at conferences related to student success. To those who attended Dr. Fralick's session at the First Year Experience Conference, today's session will continue the mental health topic discussed in her presentation in Seattle. She's the author of Career Success and the College and Career Success line of textbooks. Her College Success program in the San Diego area received many awards from students and faculty and was designated an exemplary program by the California Community Colleges Board of Governors. Today's topic is based on content from the College and Career Success line of textbooks, and I'd like to welcome Marsha to today's call. Over to you, Marsha.
Welcome, everyone, to today's topic on purpose and happiness. As Tamara mentioned, this continues the topic that I started at the Seattle FYE conference on mental health strategies. I started talking about purpose, but really didn't have enough time to go into this topic in depth. So let's start with a definition of purpose. So purpose is defined as an active commitment to goals that are both meaningful to the self and of consequence to the world beyond the self. When we start to think about life purpose, we begin by realizing everything is impermanent. We don't live forever. Life is precious. It's important to think about time and what we want to contribute and what we want to achieve during a lifetime. Attachments to money and power do not lead to happiness. At the end of my life, what will I think was important? What gives my life meaning? Here's an interesting quote that I found last week by Elon Musk. He said, "Whoever said money can't buy happiness really knew what they were talking about. So money alone cannot provide inner fulfillment, joy, or emotional well-being." That being said, I have a background in working with community college students. And if you were to ask them, why are you attending college? It's for financial stability, being able to buy a home, being able to support my family. But I think we have to look beyond that to inner fulfillment, joy, emotional well-being. I think we can do both of those things at once. So today I'm going to talk about purpose plus happiness. Purpose provides the direction. Happiness provides the fuel. Together they strengthen motivation and persistence. Students with both are more likely to stay enrolled and succeed. Purpose is one of the strongest predictors of sustained motivation. Purpose is also related to grit. I know many of you are familiar with Angela Duckworth's book on grit, and many of us are using that to share with our students in our FYE courses. What is grit? It's a never give up attitude, working to overcome challenges, maintaining effort and interest. Grit is predictive of college grade point average and educational attainment. And these two are related, purpose and grit. Purpose is related to motivation. Purpose fuels intrinsic motivation. Students with clear goals engage more deeply in learning. Purpose strengthens long-term commitment to education, and motivation becomes more stable and self-directed. Purpose is associated with psychological and physical well-being throughout life. While I was at the FYE conference in Seattle a couple of weeks ago, I attended some research session. There is a major research study, the National Survey of Student Engagement. The last one was completed in 2024, and the nickname is NESSE. NESSE found that students with a clear sense of purpose are more likely to stay motivated, overcome setbacks, use campus resources, persist to graduation, and be satisfied with their career after graduation. So I was really happy to attend this research session and find that the research supported some of the ideas that I've used for many years. Also, the research showed that those who pursue higher education to benefit society were more likely to persist than those who were seeking only financial success or personal recognition. Those with a stronger sense of purpose, especially altruistic purpose, reported stronger degree commitment. I also attended a session about research related to the first year experience. And in the resources at the end, I will provide a link to these research articles. So specifically, FYE, during the first year, altruistic purpose had a positive effect on first-year GPA, academic standing, and retention. The survey also asked students their most important goals. And if we know their goals, then I think we can help students to meet the goals. So what did students think were most important? Contributing beyond the self, helping others or the world, moral beliefs, gratitude, and giving back. Finding meaning, self-actualization, autonomy, self-acceptance, very important. Vocational and career success, fulfillment, and happiness. It was interesting to note that material gain was mentioned as important by only 8% of students. The strongest predictors of well-being are for students whose goals are pro-social in nature as opposed to financial, creative, or concerned with personal recognition. Here's an interesting quote that I shared at the conference, and people liked it, so I'm sharing it again. And it says, the meaning of life is to find your gift. And we can help our students find their gift. The purpose of life is to give it away. Something to think about. The NESSE research also talked about career development and purpose. So the NESSE research said that career development is a known predictor of persistence and resilience and helps students clarify their sense of purpose. So I invented this equation, and it goes like this. Purpose plus career clarity equals resilience and success. So we can help our students find purpose. We can help them with career clarity to help them be successful. So building on that idea, we can help students explore their purpose. We can encourage exploration of personal values, strengths, and future contributions. One of the ways I help students explore their personal gifts are some assessments that I use in all of my materials. These are produced by Human Resources. They're called the True Talent series of assessments. And what I like about them is that they use technology to connect personal strengths to career research and also actual job openings in your area. And I think that adds to purpose. So the assessments I use are personality, identifying personal strengths, multiple intelligences. I like the idea of multiple intelligence because it's a broad perspective on intelligence, learning, and skills. Here's a model I developed to help students explore their personal gifts as related to purpose. And that is, if we are going to explore careers, here are the different parts that we can explore. First of all would be personality. What are my personal gifts? How can I connect them to the job market? What are my interests? What are my multiple intelligences? What are my skills? How do I learn? And what are my values? What's important to me? Why are careers important? They help to explore purpose. They help students create a vision for the future. And that vision helps students to be motivated to accomplish their goals and contribute to life satisfaction. So here's a key idea. Making an informed choice of a college major helps students stay in college and complete their education. So it's important that we begin this early in a student's education, help students understand job prospects and earnings early. Having a vision for the future provides the motivation to invest in the hard work needed to complete a college education. I have some assignments that I'm sharing with you today. They're at my website, College Success One. When I ask students to do something, I also use myself as a model so that I can share my own personal strengths and they can feel comfortable in sharing theirs. One assignment I developed is called a word cloud summary, just using the free app wordcloud.com. So I took the words that describe my personal strengths and went to wordcloud.com. You can say what colors you want, what shape you want. You can produce this graphic. When teaching online, I would have students share this on a discussion board. When teaching face-to-face, I would have students do this and share it in groups or maybe even post it in the classroom. So again, this is an assignment available at my resources, and I will show you those at the end of the presentation. Here's another assignment that I will share with you on my website. It's a personality summary and vision for the future. So it has 4 parts. I have students summarize their personal strengths. The education required, the career research is included in the assessment. It's just a link away. I ask them to find one career that matches their personal strengths. And I ask them to tell me what is the salary and the career outlook. Again, this is in resources for today. Another assignment I have, it's a summary toward the end of the semester where I ask students to reflect on their life purpose. I ask them 4 questions. 1, summarize your personal strengths. 2, summarize your multiple intelligences. 3, summarize your values. And in my resources today is a nice assignment to help students think about values. And what is the desired result? And I give some sample students from students in the past. So here is one sample statement. I will use my strengths in math and science to become an environmental engineer to make the world a better place for the inhabitants of the earth. It's interesting that I received this statement from a high school student. They're using my textbook in my local high school as a dual enrollment course. And I visited the class after they had finished this. It was toward the end of the semester. I asked students to share some of their statements on life purpose. So this was from a 17-year-old student who actually is my neighbor. And she has since graduated in environmental engineering, and I have to meet up with her and find out what she's actually doing with her degree. So I try to ask students to develop a sample statement. It's not their destiny. They can change it at any point, but it does help them begin to think about life purpose. And again, this handout is in my resources for today. Switching gears here, I'd like to talk about happiness. Happiness is connected to life purpose. Many of you have probably heard me discuss this topic before, but sharing with you a couple of ideas on happiness, some quick exercises you can use in your classroom. So why is happiness important? We know that happy people live longer, have better mental health, enjoy their jobs more, and have rich and fulfilling social lives. Happiness and academic success. They are both related. Happiness broadens attention and improves cognitive flexibility. Positive emotions increase engagement and willingness to learn. Happier students perform better academically. We know that happiness supports motivation. Positive emotions increase energy and focus. Students are more likely to take on challenges. Happiness reduces burnout and academic fatigue. One of the most important goals mentioned in my course is happiness. When I've asked students in the past, what is your goal? They say, I just want to be happy with my life. So we did goal setting activities, and students would say, my goal is to be happy in life. And I'm teaching students that goals need to be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So how can we measure happiness? And when students challenged me on that, it really changed my thinking and shifted. So I started questioning myself, how does happiness fit in as a goal, and how can it be specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely? And I realized it wouldn't fit in this model. So what I realized is that happiness is not a goal. Achieving our goals is one of the ways to achieve happiness. And putting that into perspective, then it all made sense. And I was able to answer my questions about how happiness and goals are related. There are a couple of books that I have on my bookshelf that have made a big impact on my life and how I teach. This is one of them, The How of Happiness, and I have listed that in the resources for today. One of the suggestions for achieving happiness, and I've integrated this into my lifestyle and my family, and that is incorporating the idea of gratitude. So what is gratitude? Gratitude is a sense of wonder, thankfulness, and appreciation for life. And it's important because it helps us to savor positive life experience, increase self-esteem, cope with stress and trauma. It encourages moral behavior, helps us build social bonds, diminishes negative emotions, appreciate what you have, and then avoiding hedonistic adaptation. That's just merely the more you have, the more you want. Here's an exercise that I've described before, and I've used it frequently with students. And when I do professional development on this topic, I often do this exercise. And when I ask students to do an exercise, I always model it myself. If I can be vulnerable and share my ideas, then I can ask them to do the same. So I'm going to talk about some things, some gratitude in my personal life. And while I'm talking about that, I'm going to challenge all of you to write something for which you are grateful and put it in the chat window. So when I'm doing this with students, I say, think about this. What are 5 things in life for which you are grateful or thankful? And I might have them think about that for a while and write about it. And then I will ask for a few volunteers to share their ideas. So I will then share some of my things I am grateful for. So thinking today about what am I grateful for? I am grateful to be a senior citizen who is happy and healthy and enjoying my life. And I'm grateful for that every day. I am grateful for my family. I have 2 children. I have 5 grandchildren. So those are a couple things I'm grateful for. I'm wondering if anyone has written anything in the chat window that we could share. And again, in sharing this, it helps to increase happiness. Happiness, again, related to life purpose. Tamara, do we have any ideas in the chat window?
We do. We have a home full of happy, healthy children. They have five, so I'd imagine that's fantastic. The University of Dallas is another one. Wonderful place full of wonderful people. That's great to hear. I'm grateful for a job that incorporates my values so closely, getting to teach students about living a whole, happy life. Children and personal health is another one. My 14-year old soul dog is still healthy. Sorry, more keep coming in, which is fantastic. My 14-year-old soul dog is still healthy, active, and always up for a road trip. Another one is to have a career serving students as a coach and advisor. My husband, who's been really helpful with my surgery and recovery, my happiness, and my wonderful life around me. I'm grateful for my family, their health, and being surrounded by friends, my wife, my daughter, my job, career, my larger family and friends, my dog. I'm grateful for my health and my family. I'm also grateful to know my purpose. I'm grateful for my family. I have a wonderful husband and two kind, loving, successful children. Grateful for having a supportive boyfriend and family in my life. Also grateful to my amazing colleagues at Mercyhurst University, family, coworkers, employees, health. Grateful to be closer to retirement, to be able to live comfortably on one salary, my pets who keep me from being stressed out all the time. And I'm grateful to my parents who did everything to shape me and my sister to serve the society with passion. You know what you're thankful for. That's great. Bunch of thankful
Okay, those
people
are
today.
wonderful ideas, and I think that made everyone smile today. I know it made me smile. I am grateful for continuing to work with faculty who are dedicated to students. Even though I've been retired almost 25 years now, I continue to engage with faculty and students, and I'm grateful for that. This has become part of our family tradition at Thanksgiving. All of my grandchildren, they know that I'm going to ask them to talk about something that they are grateful for. Important ideas, something you can use with your students in your course. It can be done very quickly. Another book that I have on my bookshelf and has had an impact on my life and my teaching is Martin Seligman's Authentic Happiness. And again, that reference is in the resources. He's probably one of the better known positive psychologists who's done research on how to be resilient and achieve happiness in life. So Martin Seligman says the number one way to be happy is through a technique he calls random act of kindness. And so he says, why does it work? It helps us to view others more positively, connect with other people, appreciate our own good fortune, leads to positive social consequences, feel good about yourself, and it often leads to a chain of kindness. Seligman states that this exercise is the single most reliable momentary increase in well-being of any exercise he has tested. So I often encourage students, and when I'm doing professional development, to ask students to think about, has anyone been kind to you? Have you been kind to someone else? Can you provide examples? And then you could begin the class with, has anyone practiced an act of kindness, or has anyone been kind to you? It can be small things. I was in the grocery store the other day, and the carts in front of the grocery store are a little bit difficult to get out of the container they have them in. And someone says, would you like a cart? And I had a smile that makes my day. So just small things. Working in my yard, I was pulling weeds in my yard, and my neighbors are 90 years old, and their yard connects with mine. And so I just continued weed pulling into their yard. I thought they would appreciate that. It was difficult for them to do those kinds of things. So random acts of kindness. Another one that I enjoy and I have used quite frequently in my course is savoring life's joys. So it's the ability to savor positive experience in life is one of the most important ingredients of happiness. So we relish ordinary experiences, savor and reminisce with family and friends, transport yourself, replay happy days, celebrate good news, be open to beauty and excellence, be mindful. And so I have my students brainstorm life's joy. And let me go back here because I want to, again, do this exercise. So as I'm talking about some examples of life's joys, I'd like you to put in the chat window a moment of joy. And so again, I will model that as I do with my students. Every day I look out my living room window and I have a hummingbird feeder out there. And every time I see a hummingbird, they glint in the sun. We have ones that are green with red heads on them. And it's a moment of joy to look out and see the hummingbirds. I love to go skiing, and one of my favorite memories is standing on top of the mountain at Lake Tahoe, looking down at the lake and seeing trees covered with snow, which is a real treat for me because I live in San Diego. It's very sunny here. We don't have snow except in our local mountains, and it's very little. Yesterday, or on Sunday, I had a birthday party for my grandson who is 8 years old. My house was filled with happy shouting of children and joy. So not only thinking about these moments, but in times of stress, maybe recalling them. So in times of stress, I can picture myself on top of the mountain looking at the lake, for example. So I would have students, I would provide modeling some ideas from my own life about experiencing joy. I might have them pause for a couple of minutes and write down some moments of joy in their life, and then share this with students. And so I'm wondering, do we have any moments of joy in our chat window today?
We do. I think these will all bring smiles to people's faces. We have watching sunsets, sunshine, evening relaxation with my husband and a glass of wine, taking walks by the water, time spent writing or painting, my dog snuggled up to me, coffee at sunrise, seeing smiles on the faces of my children, enjoying my first drink of coffee in the morning, spending time with my kids, visiting the beach, seeing my children live happy lives, being on my balcony yesterday morning and hearing all the birds singing, feeling a cool breeze on my walk yesterday evening, hearing the Mercyhurst bell on campus ring on every hour and playing our alma mater each day, hearing my teens laugh. One of my joys in life is taking out the trash.
I'll have to
I
try
can
to be more
understand that.
joyful in taking out the trash, but it is
Yeah,
a relief, isn't
getting rid of it.
it? Yes.
Taking walks with my dog outside and seeing all the nature, sharing a song I like with my son and having him like it too. I have young ones, I can totally relate to that. Playing with my granddaughters. Oh, yeah, no one who is homeless takes out trash. Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
okay.
We have enough that we have the luxury of taking out the trash. That is true. Thank you all.
Okay. So these ideas certainly made me smile. I think it made people in our group smile as well. So this is a short exercise you can do with your students. Also, when you're in a joyful situation, be mindful and tell yourself, I'm experiencing joy and I'm going to remember this. And you can replay that in times of stress. So here's some items that I would suggest, some action items. Incorporate purpose and exploration into your coursework. Help students explore their personal strengths and match them to careers. Promote gratitude, reflection, and well-being practices. Experience those moments of joy and gratitude. The resources that I have for today are at my website, collegesuccess1.com, and I'm going to take you there. So this is my website. I have a tab for conferences. I have a tab for training notes and professional development. So if you'll click on training notes. So here's the one today, life purpose, happiness, and student success. If you would like to use my PowerPoint or any slides from my PowerPoint, you're welcome to do that. I have handouts for students. You can take them and use them as is, or you can change them. They're in Word format. So I have one on reflecting on life purpose. I have that word cloud exercise. I have the personality summary, and I have a values exercise that helps students begin to think about what do they value in their lives. I mentioned some of my favorite books on happiness, The How of Happiness, Authentic Happiness, Angela Duckworth's Grit, and then The New Psychology of Success by Carol Dweck. These two I didn't really mention, but they're on my resource list because I think they're some of the more important books written recently. I also mentioned some research that I went to sessions at the FYE conference in Seattle. Benefits and purpose of academic success. This one's a nice summary of all the research on purpose. The National Survey of Student Engagement, the National Survey on First Year Experience. I also used AI in this, and so I went to the site on NSE, the National Survey of Student Engagement, and I put it into Microsoft Copilot, and I said, search this research for any information on student purpose. So just to let you know some ways to use AI that really helpful and help you zero in. So if you look at a research study, you can just ask questions rather than having to look through each one. And of course, you can go back and find how many were in the sample and all the statistics if you'd want to do that. But nice summary with AI. Let me close this back up. So again, the resources, collegesuccess1.com. Click on training notes. For academic questions, you can contact me at marsha@marshafralick.com. I enjoy hearing from faculty. I even hear from students that I've had long ago, and that makes my day. So feel free to reach out if you have any academic questions.
Great. And if there are any questions, feel free to type them in the chat and we can address them here. And just a reminder, as we're waiting to see if there are any questions, that Carla will be sending you today's webinar recording tomorrow, and you'll receive links to the resources discussed, as well as an offer of a live demo and review access for Dr. Fralick's textbooks. And
so wait and see if there are any questions in the chat window. It's been great spending time with you today. Hopefully you have picked up a few ideas that you might be able to implement in your FYE course. If you'd like to continue the conversation, I'm always available to do that. I do webinars periodically, some in the fall, some in the spring. For the past 25 years, I've presented at the FYE conference, so maybe I'll see you there. I know some of you have attended many of my sessions in the past, so it's great to continue the conversation. Would enjoy any feedback that you have. Do we have questions in the chat window, Tamara?
I see lots of thanks, but I don't see any questions. Somebody said, thank you so much for your generosity and sharing your resources. I definitely got inspired. So
okay,
that is
wonderful.
Fantastic. We have another comment here. I work with students who have food insecurities, home insecurities, and financial challenges. One of my challenges is to help them find the happy moments. Thank you for these resources. So that's fantastic.
We definitely have students facing challenges, and so one of the ideas I've been thinking about a lot is how to help students be resilient, especially in difficult situations. And I think our time is unprecedented as far as stress that students are feeling and stress that we have in our society. And so practicing some of these techniques for finding joy and finding purpose help us to get through difficult times and to be more resilient. So I use these things in my personal life and share them with my students, and that's been rewarding for me as well.
Fantastic. I think this is the sixth spring webinar that we've done together where you've been sharing all of your wisdom with us. So I thank you so much for that, Marsha. It's fantastic. And thank you, everybody, today. Thanks for participating. Thank you for your time.